going to talk about the instrument that's called the TIAI. Dr. Aycock referred to this. This is the Teacher Intern Assessment Instrument. And this is really the heart of what we're all about in internship. This is when we take this instrument, we go into your classroom for at least an hour, and that is scheduled by you between your university supervisor and you. And that university supervisor sits there, and with this instrument, he or she will watch you teach and make notes for you that will be helpful for the next time you are evaluated, which will be in the winter. So this is done in the fall and in the winter. Now let me tell you right up front that the lesson plans that you will write for the TIAI instrument evaluations are very different from the ones that your school district expects you to have. We do not want you to turn in a school district format lesson plan when you should be turning in one that matches the TIAI. That's very important to remember, so keep that in mind as we go along. Dr. Aycock also mentioned to you when she was talking about the syllabus and the assignments that you will have an opportunity to do a practice lesson. It will be due on September the 12th in order for you to sort of give us a dry run of what a lesson plan will look like when we come to actually observe you. Doesn't have to do anything, doesn't have to be anything that we will see that day. It's just an opportunity for you to turn in a practice lesson plan that's built on the TIAI so that we can give you some feedback that will be helpful to you when we come to do your real evaluation sometime during the months of September or October. So you may want to go through your Canvas resources and find the Teacher Intern Assessment Instrument. You'll see two different assessment instruments that are actually the same. One is what we call the short version. It's a back and front. That's the one that we actually use, just so we don't have to give you 13 sheets of paper. But the one that I'm going to be using is called the expanded version. It gives many more details, so that might be the one that you'll want to pull up on your screen, or if you've made a hard copy, go ahead and start looking at it now. I'm checking my notes to make sure I don't leave anything out. There are 25 indicators. An indicator is like an expectation. So there are 25 indicators on this instrument, and the lesson plans that you write when you do your practice TIAI and when you do your fall TIAI and your winter TIAI must address all 25 of those indicators. Now, hopefully when we come and visit your classrooms, we will see some of these things, but just in case we're not able to come and visit you, it's always a good idea to write everything down in your plan, whether you think we're going to see it or not. Then that way it won't be missed. Let's look at the first indicator. The indicators are divided into what is called domains, and the first domain is called planning and preparation. And you will see that items 1 through 6, which actually means indicators 1 through 6, are addressed in your written lesson plan. You'll also see the term unit plans. Most teachers teach in the unit concept, like we're going to be studying a certain thing for the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's called a unit. But we don't expect you to do a 2-week plan and turn it into us. We want to see a 1-day lesson plan. And it's a little difficult at times to cram everything in to a 1-day lesson plan that we should see when we come to visit you. So that's hopefully will help you in order to be able to do that, because it's extremely important. So you'll see that items 1 through 6 are addressed in a written lesson plan. They include classroom observations and other artifacts such as pretest, inventories, surveys, and all of those must be included. Just because you say you gave a pretest, you don't get credit for that unless we see the pretest. And that goes for other assessments and other artifacts as well. If you'll go to the second indicator, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mention exactly what the first indicator was all about. It's relatively simple. Develop measurable and observable objectives. Every teacher develops objectives for every lesson plan. So they have to be written down in your lesson plan, and you'll see this is a rubric. You'll see what's unacceptable, what needs improvement, what meets standards, and what exceeds standards. There won't be many exceed standard ratings given in the fall, because almost every indicator for a number 4 rating, which is exceed standards, means that you do it consistently. And so if we just see you in the fall, we don't know if it's consistent. Hopefully when we come back for your winter evaluation and you're still doing that and show us that you're doing it, then maybe then we'll be able to award some level 4s for exceed standards. But you'll notice that on many of these indicators, consistency is the key for that highest rating, which is also called target. Indicator number 2 develops meaningful and authentic learning experiences that accommodate developmental and individual needs for each learner. There is an example section that's listed right below that. Examples include developing learning experiences for remediation, enrichment, and accommodations. You will have children in your classroom who will be what we call advanced learners. You will need to make arrangements in the form of enrichment that will allow those children to go a step further, not busy work to keep them occupied, but true authentic activities that are directly related and very relevant to the objectives that you are teaching, so that they can learn deeper. They have the capacity, a gifted learner has the capacity to learn deeper than your average learner and certainly than your remedial learner. So we want to encourage critical thinking. We want to encourage all kinds of higher order thinking skills for all students, and particularly for those who are gifted. So you'll have to sort of take that as a challenge to meet the needs of all the students. This instrument is also written to make sure that you understand the importance of meeting the needs of diverse students. Diversity includes ethnicity, race, socioeconomic status, gender, language, religion, sexual identification, and/or geographic origin. And that geographic origin is very important because we live in such a mobile society that many of our children have lived in other states and often in other countries prior to coming to your classroom. So that will be addressed throughout this instrument. The next indicator, number 3, integrates core content knowledge across and within subject areas. All that means is that if you are a teacher of English, if that's what you're teaching, or you are a teacher of social studies, or music, or PE, that you are not only teaching that subject, but you are also responsible for finding ways to incorporate other subjects in the curriculum in your lesson plans. And whether you do it or not every day, we might not know, but we will know when we check your practice TIAI plan and when we see your fall TIAI plan and your winter. So we expect to see at least 2 other subject areas incorporated. And one of the examples that I just wrote down to give you is, for example, if you're teaching a social studies lesson, you could incorporate a writing assignment, and you would use your ELA, your English Language Arts objectives. You could also incorporate music. For example, if you were studying a particular time in history and social studies, pull some of the music from that particular era and play it so that the children, your students, will have an opportunity to hear what people were hearing back in that time. So we're going to pause right here, let you take a breath, rewind our video, and we'll pick up with the next indicator shortly.